Hey everyone, and a little unplanned video today because Steam just announced some more stuff to complete the Steam Deck in their lineup of hardware. There's a new VR headset called the Steam Frame, there's a new Steam gaming console like a PlayStation or whatever, which is called the Steam Machine, an unfortunate name, and there's a brand new Steam controller as well. So we're gonna take a look at everything they announced and obviously discuss what I think about this. So first is the Steam Machine. Yes, they did decide to go with the same name as their failed previous experiment, which were little consoles that they tried to make other hardware partners build. It kind of failed because they just did not have any games that they could run. Nowadays it's not the case, but you still maybe have the stigma attached to the name. I don't know if many people remember Steam Machine. So this thing is a little cube. It's 6 inches on each side, so relatively small. It's a small thing. It has an internal power supply as well, so no big power brick to carry over, and it has some interesting I/O as well. Four USB-A ports, one at the back, 2 at the back and 2 at the front, one micro SD card slot as well. Of course, a power button. There's an LED strip here on the top. You've got a display port, an HDMI port, a power connector, Ethernet, and a USB-C port at the back. The tech specs are not impressive on paper. We don't really know yet. It is a custom Zen 4 AMD CPU. It's 6 cores and 12 threads, and it apparently can do 4K 60 with FSR, so probably performance on par with what a PS5 can deliver, I'd say, or an Xbox Series X. It goes up to 4.8 GHz, 30 watts TDP, and the GPU is a semi-custom RDNA 3 GPU with 110 watts TDP, which probably means it's not like gigantically powerful, although it does have 8 gigs of dedicated VRAM, which is nice, and the device itself has 16 gigs of RAM. It comes with a 512 gigs SSD, or with a 2TB SSD, which is pretty neat. Like, I hope it will be extendable. There is a micro SD card slot, but I would love to be able to just replace the entire SSD and reinstall SteamOS on it. We'll see if that's possible. You also have the usual Bluetooth. You have the integrated Steam controller wireless adapter. We'll go back to that when we talk about the Steam controller. And it has, of course, Wi-Fi 6E with internal antennas. What it looks like is this little cube here, which, yeah, it is pretty tiny. It is pretty nice. It looks good. It will not look completely out of place in your, like, home entertainment cabinet or whatever under your TV. It's nice. And as they say, 4K gaming at 60 with FSR. So we'll see how good it is in terms of performance. It is a full PC, it does run SteamOS, so you will have your desktop mode if you want with Plasma. You can install applications, you can link them, you can install other games and add them to your Steam interface, so you can use it as a console or as a gaming PC. It's going to do both, just like a Steam Deck does, except it's going to be obviously a lot more powerful than the Steam Deck. That is a really interesting device, I think. Now, the name I don't love. Steam Machine has some kind of failure scent around it, but I personally am very interested in that, if only because this is reference hardware. The thing that made the Steam Deck that good, despite its pretty weak internals, is that game developers did target it as a platform, because it is a unified platform which has millions of users with the exact same hardware and configuration and controller setup and whatever else, meaning you can optimize your game better for that specific hardware. That's probably what is going to happen with the Steam Machine as well, at least if it's successful. I'm pretty sure it will be less successful than the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck is a handheld device. These generally tend to attract a lot of people, especially if the promise was you can play all your Steam games on it. I don't know if the Steam Machine will have that same appeal, but we'll see. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I personally will buy one as soon as it's available, or maybe I'll ask one for review, but I don't think they're gonna send me one. I'm just not relevant enough in that sphere. Or any sphere whatsoever, mind you. So I'm probably going to buy one just to replace my own gaming PC that is sitting under my TV. I think it's a great idea. That's been something I've been wanting for years. I've been trying to replicate that with semi-SteamOS lookalike distros, but the experience is never that smooth. It never really works well. Updates don't really happen in the background. It's just not a great experience. Now, the second thing they announced is the new Steam controller. Now, I'll be honest, the look of this thing is really ass. I don't like how it looks visually at all. I'm not a fan of the symmetrical layout for sticks, stuff like on the DualShock. It's a personal preference. I know a lot of people prefer that. I personally always found the Xbox layout better because I have semi-big hands, and on stuff where the sticks are super close to each other, they just tend to hit each other. I just don't really like this, but it looks like a beefy controller, so maybe that won't be a problem. And also, Valve nailed the ergonomics of the Steam Deck. It was really, really comfortable. My hands never cramped or anything when using it, so I have hopes for the Steam controller just as well. Now, it looks to have the exact same button quality or design as the Steam Deck. They look just as shiny, same shape, whatever. So that's a good sign, because those were really solid buttons on the deck. And of course, they just added those little squares at the bottom, which are obviously the touchpads. They have magnetic thumbsticks, they have rumble, they have gyro, even though I will never use that in my entire life. They have the back paddles right there, so L4, L5, R4, R5 buttons, just like on the deck. So if you have a custom controller layout that you created on your Steam Deck, it's going to work on your Steam controller as well. So you can use it plugged in through USB, because it has a USB-C port at the top. You can use it through Bluetooth. You can use it plugged into this little puck that they show here, which seems to be connected through USB-C. But if you want, you can also just use the little puck as a wireless transmitter. So you just plug that little puck into the PC or the Steam Deck you want to use, and the controller automatically works with it. Probably going to be a better experience than Bluetooth, because Bluetooth can really suck with controllers sometimes, especially on Linux devices, where I do have plenty of pairing and connection issues with Bluetooth, at least on my gaming PC in my living room. The wireless thing is good, and the Steam Machine has this built in, so you don't need to plug that little puck on top of it. It already has it inside the Steam Machine, which is nice. Of course, that Steam controller will be customizable with Steam input, so it has full parity with the Steam controller. You can use any layout you created. It's going to work to translate any layout you want, and it's the usual Xbox button layout, which is what most PC games tend to have as a default in terms of prompts in a game, which means you're not going to have the same experience as with a DualShock, where sometimes it tells you to press X, except your X button is here, and the game actually expects you to press square. So yeah, that's probably going to be better. It works with anything, not just SteamOS devices. It's gonna work with anything that just runs Steam, the Steam client, whether it's Windows, Mac, Linux, tablets, whatever. It will work with it. It works with the Steam Frame, the new VR headset that we're gonna talk about in a minute. It looks like an interesting controller. I don't love the visual look. I think it looks extremely utilitarian, but also it's supposed to be comfortable and practical, not be a looker. And honestly, well, yeah, you can look at a DualShock 5, or you can look at an Xbox controller. Those can look stylish, but they also don't have two giant thumb pads to add on top of it. So yeah, the looks don't matter. If it fits well in the hand, if the symmetrical sticks are placed far enough that my thumbs don't cramp when trying to reach them, it's going to be great. I'll probably buy one just to test it out. I'm a sucker for controllers. I love trying out controllers, and so probably that's something I'm gonna pick up. And the third thing that they announced is the Steam Frame, which is a dedicated VR headset complete with its own controller. So what's interesting is it lets you play games made for VR, but also games not made for VR. Of course, they're gonna just run as if you had a screen in front of your eyes, and that's gonna work just as well. It is a standalone headset, so it does have its own suite of internal stuff. It has a GPU, it has RAM, it has storage, so you can play some games on it directly without connecting it to any computer. although the internals won't let you play many things, because it is a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 CPU, and it has 16 gigs of RAM, and it has 256 terabytes of storage. So do not expect this thing to run the latest VR AAA titles, if those even exist, but it is interesting, because you can just grab that thing, carry it around when you're on holiday or vacation or when you're visiting someone, and you don't need to carry the entire Steam machine or PC with you. You can still play some titles on it if you need to, which is, I think, pretty nice. I think it's good. So it has a rechargeable battery that charges with USB-C directly. In terms of the display, it's per eye 2160 by 2160, so that's pretty high resolution, 72Hz refresh rate or 144 refresh rate, although that one is experimental, so a bit higher than 60, which I think helps with the tracking and the smoothness and nausea, but don't quote me on this. It has a nice 110 FOV as well, which is good. It seems to be well designed, at least for VR, judging from the specs, but I'm no expert on that front. It also has, of course, Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi 7. It also comes with a wireless adapter that lets you plug in that Steam frame, onto any computer and stream games from the computer. Because obviously, if the game you want to run doesn't run properly with the weaker internal hardware of the Steam frame, then you're going to be able to just plug an adapter onto your PC, let the PC run the game, and stream it wirelessly to your headset without using Bluetooth or anything with high latency. It's a wireless adapter that uses I think it's 2.4 gigahertz or 6 gigahertz to transfer all of that. They say it here. It's 6 gigahertz. It's probably going to be fine for playing any games, but the controllers also look pretty cool as well. They seem to track your hand movement as you move the controllers without having a complex system of cameras or whatever. It's the headset doing the tracking, probably. It also detects your finger position with capacitive systems under the controller. You've got triggers, you've got a D-pad, you've got sticks, you've got face buttons, basically anything that you need to make sure that you do have access to everything. Now, these runs on AA batteries, which is good and bad at the same time. It's good because, well, it means you can just replace that. The battery won't degrade over time and you won't have to buy new controllers, but also it's battery, so probably buy rechargeable ones, because it's super annoying to have to run to the store to get new batteries. It just sucks. So yeah, rechargeable batteries, they're not perfect, but they're probably going to be better than this crap. 40 hours of playtime though on a battery is not bad, because who plays 40 hours of VR? That's a lot. Like, I wouldn't. That's multiple weeks of worth of play. So that's pretty neat. That's solid, interesting hardware. We'll see if it works well. There is a developer kit, of course, for people to start and build games and target that specific platform as well. But it's an interesting family of devices now. Now, all of this will be coming in 2026, early 2026, they say, which is interesting as well. Now, just like with the Steam Deck, it's probably going to be hard to get one at first, because they're probably not going to make those in gigantic quantities. They're going to test the market first. That is, more SteamOS devices, so more developer interest, more games targeting the platform. It adds relevancy as well. One of the main reasons that anti-cheat makers had for not supporting the Steam Deck and thus Linux was not just, hey, we can't do our kernel level anti-cheat. It was also, yeah, but people on their handhelds, they just don't play competitive shooters online or whatever. It's not what they buy those things for, so we can sort of ditch them. If the Steam machine sells the same numbers, it's a gaming console, like the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. They won't have that excuse anymore. They'll still have the excuse of, we can't do kernel level anti-cheat unless Valve has solved it, but they will have one extra incentive to work on those specific issues, which is nice. And for me personally, who doesn't play competitive stuff that needs anti-cheat, I don't give a crap about the anti-cheat problem. Personally, I want it to succeed for other people, but personally, a Steam machine will be absolutely amazing for all the gaming that I do, with a nice, solid controller that mimics the inputs of a Steam Deck. It's just going to be nice to have a fully integrated gaming experience where you can have the same OS, the same interface, the same games, the same shortcuts, the same button mappings, the same experience, the same feel of controlling a game when you're using the Steam controller or the Steam Deck. It's just nice. It's a nice ecosystem to have. And honestly, PlayStation doesn't offer this. Xbox doesn't offer this. They don't have all those little elements that slot together, provide the same experience, the same UI. They don't do it. Valve is the only one doing it, and I think that's a big plus. So we'll see the prices, of course, the performance, the tests, the benchmarks in the future. I'm sure some people will get early advanced stuff. I'll try to get some of that. They did send me that Steam Deck back in the day, so maybe I can get some of those things. We'll see, but this is super interesting to me. I know it's Linux gaming, a lot of people don't care, but I think it is exciting because it will bring more people onto SteamOS, more people onto Linux, more game developers having platforms to target, and generally it's just good for the entire Linux ecosystem as a whole in terms of hardware drivers, development, the stack, anti-cheat support, performance, whatever. The fact that SteamOS is what is running on the Steam Deck has really made Linux progress by leaps and bounds, and those things could do the same thing. So I'm super excited about it. And we're going to talk about it more, of course, when we get more details, the prices, early benchmarks, and whatever. Thank you all for watching this little rundown of everything that released. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't hesitate to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, whatever. You know how it works. And I guess you'll see me in the next video. Bye!